immigration law, there's this, and this is what the DACA is, the immigration relief for the children. In the immigration process, you can ask the government, you can say, look, I am someone who has been a good person, and it would be really, for some reason, it would really be a waste of your resources to deport me. So I'm asking you to make me a low priority deportee. And that's what that benefit that everyone is lauding as this great thing is really just the government saying that we're not going to make you a priority in terms of deportation. So you get this certificate that says you've received this relief. It allows you to work while you're waiting here. But in theory, if the Obama administration is able to deport, the 13 million, then you will be up next. So that's what he's done. He's just basically told his Department of Justice that you're not going to prioritize these people as deportees. You'll prioritize these other people. So,
do you believe it's a move that he's making philosophically, or do you think it's something that he had to do to maintain a certain image of himself? If he were a different president, being the first African American president, do you think he has to take some hardline stances that maybe he wouldn't if he were someone else?
Oh, well, yes, he does have to do the enforcement to make that, to make it credible that he will take any new immigration law reform seriously, right? To build that credibility. With the DACA relief, and as I see it, I think what has happened with that, and now I give him more credit than I did when he first did it, because I see that as what it has done, it has given a lot of people the opportunity to become visible. In a way that they couldn't. And now, because all of those people are working, we could quantify much more accurately what the tax revenue would be from them, what the Social Security contributions would be from them, what their potential is, because if this is where they started, where will they end up? And they're able to tell their stories, which has been a significant problem with immigration reform or the immigration discussion. Anyone who's undocumented has just been scared to tell their story. And I think of DACA as that creating that opportunity where, immigrants could come out of the immigration closet in a way. And we've seen what coming out has done for the LGBT community politically, right? Now it's really hard to tell somebody who you know, right? I don't think you're a good person, or I don't think you deserve to have the same rights as I do. And I think DACA allows undocumented immigrants the opportunity to come out, and it's really hard to tell somebody that yes, I really think you should give up the life you've built here and go back to some country that either didn't want you to begin with, or you're unfamiliar with, or doesn't want you.
You touched on the taxes, quantifying that. Just briefly, I know a lot of people say people who are here illegally don't pay taxes. Mm-hmm. What's your response to that?
Again, it's complicated because most undocumented folks, to be able to work, have to use some kind of social security number, and it's usually a fake social security number. And what that means is that their social security taxes and all of their state and federal taxes get withheld. But unlike me and you, who at the end of the year could go back and say, oh, dear federal government, I overpaid, give me back my money, right? They can't do that. So actually, if you are working for someone else and you're undocumented, you're paying more taxes income-wise than someone who is documented and is, telling saying, hey, I overpaid. And, and of course the tax rates are different based on income brackets. But the only person who's getting away without paying any taxes might be the undocumented person who owns their own business, like maybe, the taco shop or something.
Obviously, you work on a local level.
Yeah.
So what is it that people can do? Obviously, the case you argued says that really, legally, they can't change anything locally. What can be done to help people out with immigration problems locally?
Immigration problems locally. I mean, the federal government really has reign and determination over that. Locally, the best thing is to call your legislators. I went to this town hall, and I remember it was Perry's town hall, and he's very, very anti-immigrant. And I inserted a question in his basket, which was clearly an immigrant-friendly question, and it was maybe the third or fourth question that came up. But once he realized that there were immigrant-friendly people in the room, because he didn't know who asked the question, his tone mellowed, and he went from, anchor babies to, there are problems in the system that you need to deal with. And I thought, that's a very different language level. So, contact your legislators. If you're an immigrant, to tell your story and be clear about your story, not hide it. I sound hypocritical because I keep telling people, you have to go out there, you have to tell your story, even if you're undocumented, don't worry. Do the fight. But I remember how scared I was, and I was pretty vocal and pretty, assertive. So, but you have to do it. Someone once said, if you want change, every social change has a cost, and somebody will have to pay that cost. And if it doesn't get paid, it doesn't happen. So, if you're an immigrant, tell your story. If you know immigrants, tell those stories. I think at the citizenship rally at DC, I think it was Menendez who said it. He's like, immigrants touch every aspect of your life, from the tomatoes that you're eating to the software that you're using. And he's right. We just don't realize how much immigrants are affecting our lives. Especially, you hide it. People are always surprised I'm an immigrant. Mm-hmm. Because they just assume that because they talk to me and I can talk to them, that I'm not. And when they find out, it's almost like a shock. And it never occurs to me to, that's not the first thing I'm introducing myself to you as, because I'm probably meeting you for a reason. The first thing that we're talking about isn't about, the fact that I'm an immigrant. So that gets lost and forgotten very easily. And people assume, so when people think of an immigrant, they always think of that person who has not acculturated at all, because that's when it's clear.
Where can someone go to learn more about this?
About
immigration in general, where we're at reform-wise, and what you can do to help.
Well, there are a whole host of sites everywhere. So in Pennsylvania Immigration and Citizenship Coalition is the best place. We are a member-based organization, so we're connected with all of the organizations that have some contact with the immigration reform process at the local level. But remember, too, that the immigration battle isn't just the national battle. There are also a lot of issues locally that you could be engaged in, so you want to be familiar with what's happening locally. In Pennsylvania, one of the struggles that we're seeing now is access to driver's license, because it does impact the parents' ability to take their kids to school, groceries, etc. And so there might be different issues that affect different states differently because of how the laws are construed. Pennsylvania Immigration and Citizenship Coalition is the best place to go to for Pennsylvania to know what the current issues are.
What's the next step, maybe?
Oh, the next step. I don't know. I'm really hoping immigration reform happens this year. If it doesn't, it really slows down our economy even more. That growth rate that you see being steady is because our generation isn't allowed to produce at its maximum, because 13 million of our generation just isn't able to participate as fully.